In this video, I'm going to show you how to take your plywood backers and turn it into this. Let's get started. I'm going to show you how to give something what I call an aged finish. I have my espresso varathane stain. For this process, it doesn't matter what color stain you use. You really want a darker one. I tend to use a stain that I don't really care for. I don't like espresso, so I just kind of wanted to use this up, so that's why I use this stain in particular for this process. I have not edge banded the edges of my plywood, and at the end of this video you'll see why I didn't think that was necessary. I'm set up in my husband's tractor shed today, so bear with me with the view. Let's get started. Typically when I stain, I always use a brush. It goes faster. Some people like to just use a rag, and that's fine. I like my stain to go on thicker. So what I've done is I brushed it on. I'm going to let it sit on there for a few minutes, and then I'm going to wipe the excess off with a rag, and then I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing with the other side. Usually what I do is work on two at a time. So I'll stain the top on one, I'll go to the next one, put my stain on, then I'll go back to the first one, wipe off my excess, and kind of work like that. I really don't like this tractor shed. There's a lot of spiders in here, really big spiders. They like to hang out on all these wood slabs, and so I keep looking around paranoid that one of them is gonna just come out and crawl on me because I hate spiders. I have my fronts and my sides all stained, so now I'm going to flip it over and do the back side. I like to use these little guys right here to keep my signs off the table, and this allows me to do both sides at one time. You don't want to start the next process until your stain is fully dry and cured. I'm happy today that I got to do this outside. It's only 60 degrees here today in Maine, and it's not very humid. So I think these are going to dry pretty good for me, and I'll be able to do the next step in about 24 hours. Keep in mind when you're disposing of your rags and gloves that they can combust spontaneously. So you want to make sure that you're always throwing your rags outside. I usually keep my produce bags from the grocery store and chuck all of my staining stuff into a produce bag and throw it outside until trash comes, because I don't want those combusting inside my house. By doing it out here, I was able to keep the fumes out of the house. I don't like smelling the fumes from the stain. So when it's nice out, I like to do it outside as much as possible. I just kicked my husband's tractor out of the shed, and I'm very happy that I did not encounter any spiders today. We are now ready for step 2 of this process. What I have here today for supplies is a paintbrush, a mini scraper, some paper towels, or you could use a rag, and some Rust-Oleum chalk paint. There are many great YouTube videos out there on how to make your own chalk paint. I didn't want to mess around with making my own this time, so I just picked this up right at Lowe's. So let's get started. This is a very simple process and it looks great when it's done. So all we're gonna do is get some on our paintbrush, and I go with the grain And we're just gonna brush it on. It doesn't have to look pretty at all. So I have my whole sign brushed in chalk paint. See, it doesn't really look that pretty, but that's okay. I'm just gonna take my scraper and I'm gonna go into the direction of the grain. All I'm gonna do is go strip by strip and just scrape off this chalk paint and wipe off the excess on my paper towel or rag. Chalk paint dries pretty quickly, so if you're working in a pretty warm environment, you might only want to do one side and then the other side, so that way it doesn't dry too quick on your backer. You also don't want to forget about your edges, and this is why I did not edge band. I don't even go over it with the scraper after. I just kind of put bigger blobs. Like when I start running out of paint, then I'll put a little more paint on. It's extremely inconsistent. If you had edge band this, I feel it would be just a waste of money. There you go. Chalk paint dries pretty quickly, so these are already dry. I have my little gator here, and I have a 600 grit sandpaper pad on here. There was a few spots that I didn't really like how it came out, so I'm just gonna smooth it out with the sander. You don't have to do that, but you can if you want. Everything that I've used in today's video will be in links in the description below. Here it is, all done. Now I'm gonna put a coat of polyacrylic on it and then glue my pieces on. If you found value in this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you'd like to stay up to date on all our latest projects, tips, and to be inspired. If you'd like to see how these signs turned out with the pieces on them, be sure to follow my Instagram page at Stronger by Grace Designs. See you next time!